Hey man, you've probably wondered this at some point. Why does it feel like the more love you give to a woman, the less she values it? Why does it feel like your devotion becomes her boredom? The truth is, female love doesn't follow logic. It doesn't build in a straight line. It isn't earned through effort the way masculine love is. Female love is. Female love is a process, a secret process, one that's rooted in feeling, unpredictability, and emotional motion. She doesn't fall in love with your resume. She falls in love with your rhythm, how you make her feel when she's not sure what you'll do next. Her love grows in uncertainty, in emotional suspense, in moments where she can't quite figure you out, and the moment she fully decodes you, that's often the moment she starts drifting. Not because she's evil, but because she doesn't love like you do. Her love needs movement, yours needs stability, and that clash is where most men lose themselves, trying to be everything she wants instead of being who they are. A woman's love begins not when she gets everything she wants, but when she feels something she can't explain. It's not the man who texts her good morning every day that captures her soul. It's the man who made her wonder why she thought about him all day without even trying. Female love is born in curiosity. She needs to feel like she's discovering you, not owning you. When you reveal too much too soon, when you're always available, always predictable, always expressing your feelings without filter, you kill the very mystery that fuels her emotional attachment. She starts to see you as a given, as something she doesn't need to work for. And once she stops working for your attention, her attraction starts to die, slowly, quietly, until one day she says, "I just don't feel the same anymore." And you're left wondering what you did wrong, when the real problem was, you did too much. The process of female love moves through 3 silent stages: fascination, testing, and surrender. In the first stage, she's magnetized by something she can't define: your energy, your calm, your presence. She watches you, observes you, analyzes how you carry yourself. She builds a story in her mind based on subtle cues, not your words, but your vibe. And here's where most men make the first mistake. They try to speed this stage up by pouring affection, compliments, and attention onto her. But that breaks the spell, because female love isn't built through persuasion, it's built through emotional chemistry. Let her observe, let her guess, let her wonder. Don't ruin the intrigue by narrating your every move. Don't reveal everything too quickly. Let her imagination do some of the work. That's where her feelings grow in the unknown. Once she's fascinated, she moves to stage 2, testing. This is where most men collapse. This is when she'll start saying things that don't make sense, pulling away randomly, accusing you of things that feel irrational. She's not trying to destroy you, she's trying to feel your strength. Female love cannot attach itself to a man she can break emotionally. If you flinch, over-explain, apologize when you've done nothing wrong, or start chasing her reassurance, she'll feel it in her body. You're not the man she hoped you were. But if you stay grounded, if you hold frame, breathe deeply, and speak with calm authority, she'll begin to respect you on a level that overrides logic. You'll become something solid in her shifting emotional world, and that's when she begins to surrender, internally, emotionally, spiritually. Not because you forced her, but because your masculine energy gave her permission to let go. This third stage, surrender, is the rarest form of love. It's where a woman stops trying to lead. She lets herself be led. She trusts you. Not because you said the right words, but because she feels safe in your presence. Safe doesn't mean soft. Safe means you don't collapse. You don't become reactive. You don't chase her approval. You guide the relationship with quiet direction, clarity, and firm boundaries. She'll challenge you at times, not to dominate you, but to reassure herself that you haven't changed, that you're still the mountain, still the steady current. And if you pass that test again and again, she'll give you something no other man can access: her feminine loyalty. The kind that doesn't flinch in chaos, the kind that doesn't need reminders. But most men never get here because they try to shortcut the process. They try to earn her surrender by pleasing her, not realizing that surrender is earned through masculine composure, not validation. You see, men love through provision, consistency, and loyalty. Women love through emotion, imagination, and polarity. And when you treat her like a man, trying to win her through logical actions, through gifts, through endless reassurance, you smother the very thing that makes her love you. Women don't want perfect men. They want men who make them feel something rare. A man who can be quiet and intense. A man who can say no without needing her to like it. A man who doesn't fear her moods, doesn't bend to her emotional pressure, but embraces her chaos without losing his center. That's the man she falls for deeply. That's the man who lives in her mind rent-free. Not the man who begs for a response. Not the man who gives everything without ever asking for respect. You don't get female love by lowering your standards. You get it by raising your value and making her rise to meet it. Another hidden truth: female love fades the moment she feels your energy turn inward. When you start thinking too much, doubting yourself, overanalyzing every text, reacting instead of leading, she feels it. She might not even understand what changed, but she'll feel the difference. Her love was responding to your energy, your groundedness, your mission, your certainty. And when you disconnect from that and start orbiting around her emotions, you lose your edge. You become what she feared most: weak, unstable, easily swayed, and her subconscious starts pulling away. That's why men who maintain emotional detachment without being cold are so attractive. They don't need her love, they enjoy it, but their world doesn't rise or fall on it. That indifference, that solid core, that's what creates the conditions for her love to keep blooming. She falls in love with your presence far more than your promises. The way you walk into a room with calm confidence, the way you look her in the eyes without flinching, the way you say less, but mean more. Every woman has a secret craving to be consumed by a man's energy, not just his attention. But when your energy becomes needy, when you're over-invested, over-talking, over-analyzing, she tunes out. You become noise, not signal. And that's why many women leave good men. They stopped feeling his energy and started seeing only his effort. Don't be effort heavy and energy light. Be so grounded that she leans in just to feel what you're not saying. That's the essence of seduction. That's the slow burn that female love thrives on. Let's talk about the role of tension. Emotional tension. A woman's emotional body needs movement to stay alive. She doesn't want a flatline. She wants a journey. But that doesn't mean drama. It means direction. As a man, your job isn't to be her emotional comfort blanket. It's to be the guide who introduces new layers of depth, adventure, and polarity. When she knows everything you'll say and do, she checks out. But when you maintain that subtle mystery, when you pull back at times, when you disappear into your mission and return with renewed presence, that's when she reattaches. Female love requires renewal, and renewal happens when you maintain a rhythm of presence and absence, connection and space, warmth and distance. Not games, just masculine self-respect. You don't give her everything all the time. You give her something worth missing. And here's the most brutal truth of all. A woman doesn't truly love you at the beginning. She loves how you make her feel, and only after time, consistency, and emotional testing does she begin to love you as a man. But if you collapse before that time comes, if you try to lock her down with logic or rush her into commitment, you'll never know what her love could have been. Because the secret process of female love isn't about forcing her to feel something. It's about giving her the space to feel something real. It's about staying solid long enough for her fantasy to fade and her heart to see the value in your truth. That's when her love becomes something sacred, something earned, something enduring. But you don't get there by doing more. You get there by being more grounded, more present, more untouchable. Female love, at its core, is deeply rooted in security, but not the kind of security most men think of. It's not financial, it's not protection, it's not how fast you text back. It's emotional security, knowing that no matter what storm she brings, you won't be swept away. Women love through contrast. The deeper your stillness, the more she feels free to be expressive. The stronger your frame, the more she feels safe to be feminine. She falls in love when you don't collapse under pressure, when you don't take her words literally but understand what she emotionally means underneath. That's emotional leadership. That's what separates men who confuse attention for love from those who understand the silent language of polarity. She will push against you, not because she wants to leave, but because she needs to know that you won't, that your foundation is firmer than her fear. Her love deepens when she feels like she's earned it, not bought it, not been gifted it, but earned it through surrender. And surrender, for the feminine, only happens when she feels fully seen, yet still held. When she can unravel in your presence without being judged or controlled. If you're always trying to fix her, she can't relax. If you try to constantly reassure her, she can't trust you. A woman doesn't fall in love with a man who becomes her emotional crutch. She falls in love with the man who helps her see herself more clearly through his unshakable clarity. You become her mirror, not her savior. And when she sees her beauty reflected back by a man who isn't blinded by her chaos, that's when her love goes from impulsive to devotional. That's when her energy softens, her resistance dissolves, and her loyalty ignites from a place far deeper than infatuation. You must understand, female love is not a destination, it's a dance, a rhythm, a cycle that loops through desire, doubt, surrender, and renewal. The man who tries to hold it still, who panics when she pulls away, who overcommits when she's unsure, breaks the rhythm. And when you break that rhythm, the music stops. That's when her attraction fades. But the man who flows with the cycle, who gives her space when she needs it, who steps in when she's spiraling, who says no with love and yes with standards, he becomes the song she can't stop playing. He becomes her emotional gravity, her safe unpredictability, and that's the paradox. Women fall in love with the man who gives them freedom, but also structure. She doesn't want to lead, she wants to be led, but only by a man whose leadership doesn't feel like control. It feels like home. When she says, "I just need space," don't panic. That's part of the process. Female love retreats to renew. She pulls away to feel the difference between your presence and your absence. It's how she remembers what she's missing. The man who chases her during this time, who panics, over-texts, tries to win her back, kills the very desire that would have brought her back on her own. But the man who stays grounded, who remains on his purpose, who doesn't shift his identity based on her emotional weather, that's the man she returns to with reverence. Because she realizes he doesn't need her to feel complete. He chooses her, but he doesn't require her validation. And that's when she sees the real value of his love. It's not cheap, it's not desperate, and it's not reactive, it's earned. That's the kind of love she can trust with her life. A woman's feelings are always in motion. That's not a flaw, it's feminine nature. But it becomes dangerous when a man expects consistency from a creature that is built to flow, shift, and evolve emotionally. Female love isn't about stability and feeling, it's about stability and direction. She needs to know that even if her moods change, your direction won't. You're still the man, still the vision, still the standard, and when you remain fixed in your path, she feels free to express without fear of losing you. That's when her love deepens, because it's not born out of dependency, it's born out of admiration. And that admiration grows stronger every time you show her you're not here to dance to her tune, but you'll let her dance around yours. You're the lighthouse, not the wave. That's why she keeps coming back to you, even after she tries to drift. Here's a secret most men never realize. The more effort you put in to be emotionally pleasing to her, the less attractive you become. Because it tells her, on a subconscious level, that your value is negotiable, that you'll bend, compromise, shift, and dilute yourself just to be chosen. But female love doesn't bloom in comfort, it blooms in respect. And respect is born from boundaries, from standards, from knowing when to say no and meaning it. A man who values his time, his energy, and his presence is a man who makes her step up emotionally. And when she feels herself stepping up, becoming more feminine, more nurturing, more receptive, she connects with the deepest form of her love contribution. A woman only falls in love fully when she feels she is contributing to a man who is worthy of her submission, not control, submission. There's a difference. One is demanded, the other is gifted. Most men confuse control with leadership. They try to force her into love by rules, timelines, ultimatums. But female love doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to inspiration. The man who walks with quiet purpose, who isn't begging for love but embodying value, becomes magnetic. He doesn't explain himself, he doesn't chase validation, he simply is. And that isness, that calm embodiment is what causes her emotional guard to drop. You become the man she didn't know she was waiting for. Not because you checked all the boxes, but because you didn't need her to validate your worth. That absence of need creates the presence of power, and her love gravitates toward that power like gravity, not for dominance, but for surrender. Because a woman's love only reaches its peak when she feels safe enough to let go of control. The most seductive thing you can do as a man is build a life where she feels lucky to be a part of it, not entitled to it. You don't build it for her, you build it in spite of her. And when she sees you creating, executing, moving through life with or without her applause, she starts to admire you. Female love is deeply tied to admiration. If she doesn't look up to you in some way, she'll never stay in love. You must be her emotional reference point, not just her companion. The man who makes her pause and think, damn, he's really about it. And when you live that truth unapologetically, without trying to convince her, without trying to impress her, that's when her feminine begins to soften, because now she sees what real masculine energy looks like. And it's not loud, it's not needy, it's just undeniable. Her love grows when you don't flinch, when she tries to make you jealous and you laugh, when she throws emotional jabs and you don't react, when she disappears and you don't chase. Not because you don't care, but because you care more about your own peace than proving yourself. That's what makes her feel something deeper than attraction. That's what opens the door to real love, because now she knows, this man can't be moved. This man isn't here to entertain her emotions. He's here to lead her through them. And in a world full of men who beg for scraps of attention, your indifference is powerful, not cold, not cruel, but composed. That composure is rare, and rare things are what women love most. They don't want average, they want exceptional. And the most exceptional man is the one who needs nothing, but gives everything on his terms. Women fall in love emotionally first, but spiritually second. That deeper layer of love only activates when you continue showing up as the same man she first admired, without dilution. It's easy to be confident when things are easy, but when she starts testing your limits, pulling away, or acting out, and you stay the course, that's when she feels something holy. That's when her feminine soul surrenders, not to you, but to the version of herself she becomes around you. That's the real secret. She doesn't just fall in love with you, she falls in love with how she feels around you, how she sees herself through your masculine frame. And when that frame never weakens, no matter what chaos she brings, you become her sanctuary, her storm and her shelter. And that's when her love becomes unshakable. Stop trying to be the perfect boyfriend. Be the man who moves with purpose. Be the man who sets the tone and lets her tune in. Female love is music. She doesn't want to be the conductor. She wants to feel your rhythm and surrender to it. She wants to be swept into something she didn't see coming. That's why routines fail. That's why comfort turns cold. You must surprise her, not with gifts, but with growth. Evolve in front of her. Shift gears when she least expects it. Show her new depths. Challenge her. Not to confuse her, but to remind her that your story is still being written. Female love is fascinated by forward motion. Keep moving, and she'll keep falling. Stand still, and she'll lose the rhythm. Every time you ask her what she wants, she dies a little inside. Not because you're asking, but because she doesn't always know. She wants to feel led. She wants to feel chosen, not for what she gives, but for who she becomes around you. So lead, decide, set the tone. Invite her into your world, but never make her your world. That's the fatal mistake. The moment you make her the center of your universe, she becomes disoriented. Because her nature is not to be the sun, it's to orbit around it. And when you make her your mission, she loses respect. But when she sees you chasing something higher than her, something eternal, she falls harder. Because now you're not just a man, you're a force. And women don't just love forces, they submit to them. Her love becomes eternal when she watches you endure, through her moods, through her doubts, through her silence. If you never stop being who you are, no matter how many times she changes, she starts to worship you in ways she can't explain. Not out of fear, not out of dependence, but out of reverence. Because you showed her what no one else could, how to love a man who didn't need her love to feel whole. That's the kind of man she stays up thinking about. That's the kind of man who leaves a mark on her soul. The one who never lost his edge, even when she dulled his blade. The one who made her feel everything without ever chasing her heart. So what's the real secret process of female love? It's not something you give her, it's something you awaken in her. It's not something you earn by doing more, it's something you sustain by being more. Stop trying to make her feel safe through words. Make her feel safe through presence, through unwavering direction, through emotional discipline. She doesn't fall in love with the man who tells her he'll never leave. She falls in love with the man who doesn't flinch when she threatens to go, because in that moment she sees his strength. And that strength, that's what makes her feel safe to finally love for real. At the end of the day, female love is not logical, it's not fair, it's not even always reciprocal, but it is real when you stop trying to manipulate it and start respecting the process. Stay rooted, stay composed, stay unmoved. And if she's the right woman, her love will rise to meet your frame. If she's not, she'll fall away, and that's your win too. Because now you know love doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being so grounded in your masculine energy that her only choice is to surrender. That's the secret, that's the truth. And once you live it, you'll never chase again.